How's it going, YouTube? E30 Source, and today I'm going to show you how to swap out your power steering reservoir. Okay, so some of the tools you're going to need. You're going to need a flashlight. You're going to need 2 jack stands. Please do not just do this underneath a jack. Use jack stands. I'd recommend getting a 10mm deep socket. 1/4" drive is fine, or 3/8, it's up to you. You're going to need some wrenches, some assorted sizes to get off the banjo bolts that are holding on to the bottom part of the rack. You're going to need a flathead screwdriver. I'd recommend also a pair of gloves, a pair of rubber gloves. You're going to need your new power steering reservoir or lines if you're replacing those. You're going to need your catch pan to get all the power steering fluid into. And optional but highly recommended, a creeper to help you roll around on the floor with. Because back in the 80s, the E30s came with some cheap plastic reservoirs which would crack over time and cause leaks. So you can swap it out with a newer one, or I just got mine out of an E46 that was lying in the junkyard. Start by jacking up your car, and please put it on jack stands. Once both sides of the car are up in the air, pop your hood and reveal the engine bay. Find your old reservoir and open up the cap. Here's the first banjo bolt that you're going to be removing. It's on the power steering pump itself, and it's a 22mm bolt. Remove it and have your catch pan ready, because this stuff comes out quick. Then there are just 2 more banjo bolts that you need to remove. The top one is a 19mm banjo bolt, and the bottom one is a 22mm. I took off the first one to get to the second. These are on the steering rack themselves. And there's just one more little bolt to remove, and that's a 10mm holding on the clamp on the power steering reservoir on top in the engine bay. Now you can just pull out the whole reservoir with its 2 lines attached to it. Now it's time to swap everything over. I got a towel and wiped down the lines that were now going to be cleaned and made sure that there's no cracks or any type of stress wear on the lines, and then I would replace those accordingly. I already replaced these lines a month earlier, so there's no point to me replacing them again. Then I undid the screws that held them onto the reservoir, and I swapped over the lines one at a time. Then I tightened down the hose clamp on them. You don't want to tie it too tight, but you don't want to have it too loose where it will leak. Just firm enough so it's grabbing it. Note that you could also crack one of the nipples off of the reservoir, so be very careful. And everything looks good to go. Time to install it. Then I took the reservoir and put it back into the clamp. And the 2 lines I just kind of threw down there where they needed to go. And I basically buttoned it all back up together. Note that you do need to put the bottom one on first before you put the top one on the steering rack part. And also make sure that the washers are there on either side of the banjo bolt. Then I retightened the clamp on the power steering reservoir and make sure that it's pretty tight and snug. Now it's time to refill the power steering reservoir. I filled it up with all the power steering fluid that I had left over. I know I did lose some, but I can't help it. Also, I did make a funnel out of the top of a Poland Spring bottle, and that really helped out. But I did spill some on the side also, so that's my mistake. Now bring down your car and close up the hood. Now start up your car and cycle through the wheels a bunch of times. Turn the wheel all the way to the left and all the way to the right, and then you'll hear the power steering pump kick in. This is so you can see if the oil is cycling. And then make sure that there are no leaks. And if not, then you're good to go. Thank you for watching E30 Source, and stay tuned for more E30 videos.